All right, welcome in. Aloha to the Daily Dose Wednesday edition. So, of course, that's our weekend watch here on the Daily Dose of football here in the North Florida, Big Bend, Panhandle, all that good stuff. So, for the Daily Dose here, we're looking forward for the weekend watch. So, what does that mean? Hey, three big games to watch for this weekend. So, these don't mean that there are only three games going on. These don't mean that they're the only three games that we care about. Hey, but if you're looking for the bullet points, you're looking for the spark notes, as it were, hey, it's really tough to remember more than three things at one time. So we're going to give you three games to keep an eye on here this weekend for week two for the Florida football season. So let's get into game one. That's right, Charles hosting Florida High. So both of these teams coming in undefeated. Of course, Charles hosting Impact Christian last week, a big 50-0 win. Of course, it'll be more of a test for them here this week. A small 1A school was Impact Christian, and Charles was all over. Really wasn't an accurate litmus test, but a good warm-up here for the Timberwolves. So they're feeling confident going into their week two matchup against Florida High. What I like about them is the offensive line. You got Farmer and the offensive line. They're going to be the key here. Can they stop that dangerous Florida High defense, that front seven, that beastly attacking defensive unit with Coach Hartley down there? They had, I believe, 18 tackles for a loss, and they really gave Navarre fits, which Navarre, similar size school to Childs. So, can the offensive line keep them at bay? Can the running game, like you saw it last week with Lundy and Mitchell, continue to thrive, continue to succeed for Childs? I like what we're seeing when Philly has some time to operate. Can he continue to do so against Florida High? On the flip side, you really love what the Seminoles have going on here in this rivalry series. They've won 6 out of the last 7. One of the reasons why it's the game to watch. We like a good streak going on, but the big thing for them is health. A couple knocks taken in that Navarre game. How did they look coming into this contest? If healthy, one of the best teams in the area. You like Harville on defense. You like Mike Jones on offense. You like Bubba Brown all over the place. You like Bryson Brown. Anybody really that's kind of taking that field is going to be dangerous here for Florida High. And then, of course, you've got the kicking game as well. Of course, may or may not get a 50-plus yarder again, like we saw last week. Having said that, another reason why this is a game to watch, the last 4 contests, this series between Florida High and Childs decided by a total of 17 points. So, for those math heads out there, that's 4.25 points per game that this contest has been decided in the last 4 times they've played. So that's a one-score game every single time that they've gone out the last 4 times. One of the reasons why you have an exciting game, 2 undefeated teams that have a history of playing close. It's going to be a great one to watch. Childs and Florida High got it going on in the north side. All right, let's move on. Game number 2, Taylor County versus Wakulla is going to be another game to watch here for the weekend watch, the weekend outlook for what we have going on in week 2 of our high school football season. Of course, this was a matchup that was largely dominated by Wakulla in the recent past. Before the last 2 previous years, there were 14 matchups between these two teams. Wakulla had won 13 of the 14 games. Bring it back to 2024, Taylor County and H squared, Ryan Hamilton and the boys had it going on. A C.J. Ellis punt return sealed the deal to break the streak. Taylor County had a big win down there in Perry 2024. So you wonder, hey, could they do it again? Boom. Come back 2025, do it again with a one-score contest, again scoring 27 points. And you had your boy Bez Glanton, who went bananas, over 300 total yards and 4 total touchdowns. He's going to be one of the pivotal moments to watch. One thing I look at for Wakulla, hey, can the offensive line, which we like, control the pace here? Can those big boys give Armand Lindsay, which is a shifty running back that I think can do some wild things, adventurous and fun to watch? Can they slow this game down a little bit? Can they control tempo and take it to Taylor County? It's going to be an interesting game to watch. You look over to the east of Tallahassee, and this one looks really good. So we had to put it on your radar. Taylor County and Wakulla, a big contest going on outside here of the city limits. Moving on to our next game, number 3. So it's two teams that had two very high-profile wins in week 1. You have Godby and you have Mosley. This one will be played out in Lynn Haven, out in the Panama City area. Of course, Godby going to hit the road. So Choctaw falling to Mosley here in week 1. Rickards falling to Godby here in week 1. You love what you're feeling for both of these teams. But the old adage is you can't win a state championship in week 1. So they have to continue the journey here in week 2. But both of these teams will have a packed schedule. This is a non-district contest, but they will have an exciting showcase here out for us tonight. And I think it's going to be, can the offensive line of Godby stop Mosley's defensive line? Mosley's D-line gave Choctaw fits, and that front really kind of loaded things up. Art Shambo had 3 sacks, 3 big ones for the Dolphins. So can the offensive line led by Hilliard, Hester, Ware for the Godby Cougars keep Art Shambo at bay and allow Cam McMillan to do his thing? Allow Landon Dougherty to do his thing. And, of course, one of the highlight reels for Dougherty is giving it to Simmons, giving it to Esteban, giving it to that 3-headed monster receiving core that we like to see, as well as the slot Murray. So that's going to be the big battle for us here, but it's going to be a very high profile. Unfortunately, one of these teams has to lose. On the flip side, for the winner, you feel really good about the positioning of the winner. Coming in at 2-0 with 2 high-profile wins, I think it's going to be one of your favorites coming west of, I think, Lake City. Whoever's the winner of this contest, I think, is your early favorite for that dominant force in the higher classifications. Of course, we'll get into it a little later on in the week, but Blountstown's going to have something to say for teams overall. But, of course, when you talk about bigger classification teams, Godby, Mosley, 2 of the biggest ones going at it. So, of course, those are our big 3 games to watch. As a reminder, the 3 you need to check out, if you forget everything else: Florida High at Childs, Taylor County and Wakulla, and then Godby at Mosley. Check them out. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Daily Dose. Andrew Jupe on Field Desk Sports.